Welcome to day 21 of the daily vlog for the April challenge. Today I wanted to talk about teaching, education, and homeschool. Probably the first thing that I've learned with homeschooling is about the socialization. That's kind of like in your face when we're homeschooled, because people always assume that when you homeschool, therefore you don't get out of the house, and therefore how is your kid going to learn to deal with things? I do not think that the public school teaches social skills. If anything, it is an artificial environment with cliques and social groups that are artificially set on these kids. And once you're set, once you are a geek or a nerd or a jock or whatever role you're pigeonholed in, you're stuck with that while you're in that school. That's not socialization. Socialization is learning social norms, and you're also learning about how to deal with others, different backgrounds, different age groups. And I went to public school and I did not learn social skills there. If anything, it was in college and when I actually got a job. Another surprise with teaching my son is that I didn't need to teach 8 hours a day. Now, other homeschoolers in different states might have this. They might have to keep track of time, but here in Maryland, we don't. If I wanted to just do 2 hours, if I wanted to do 10 hours, it's purely up to my discretion. I teach from around 12 to 4, sometimes 5, and we teach through the summer. So he probably does get the same amount of time as public school kids, but you also have to remember I'm not dealing with 30 kids in the classroom. I don't have to teach one size fits all. So he gets one-on-one, which I think is more of, quality than quantity. And once he gets it, he gets it. I also have the freedom that if he's not getting it, we can spend more time on it than as if I was a teacher in school, because they're kind of like, okay, we have to learn this in this amount of time, and I think those who don't learn are kind of like lost in the shuffle. I learned very quickly that when teaching homeschool, I do not have to stick with grade level curriculum. He's at 7th grade, and a lot of times I always have to think about that because we're not learning always the 7th grade subjects. Sometimes it's 8th grade, sometimes it's college level. Sometimes it's also below, like he's a little bit behind in math, but he's way ahead in history and science. And with reading and writing, I think he'd be a lot further along if he enjoyed doing it, but he understands the concepts and stuff. So, yeah, when you're a homeschooler, you don't have to stick to the grade level at all. I also learned that learning doesn't need to be from textbooks all the time. I do have textbooks. That's what all these back here. Those are a lot of my textbooks, and then I have some more in other places. But and I have workbooks. But a lot of times we're also using documentaries, field trips, worksheets, and even games. I find a lot. I have a previous vlog that I did. I posted some games that we have used, and he learns so much faster that way than through a textbook. So you don't have to learn just, books and paper. You can use projects, you can use art, music, video. There's lots of different ways of teaching. I also learned that homeschool or public school, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's either or. If just because you decide you're going to homeschool doesn't mean it has to be forever. It could be a few years or a year, and then your kid decides that they want to go back. That could be fine as well too. Or if you put them in school and it doesn't work out again, they can pull them back out. The important thing is that they're learning. I learned the value of what we ought to do and what we want to do impacts on our learning ability. If it's a choice, and I give my son choices, especially when it comes to science. I said, do you want to learn chemistry or do you want to learn physics? If he's interested in physics, he's going to absorb that more. He's going to have more natural curiosity and more aptitude to learn than if I force feed him a subject he's not going to like. Now that doesn't mean that I skip over things like, he's not particularly interested in the Western exploration of history. We're in that part where learning about the Louisiana Purchase, learning about exploration, Lewis and Clark, blah, blah, blah. He's not particularly interested in that, but I do feel that it is important. I find one of the things is a lot of schools are now, they're kind of like not bothering with cursive. And I was like, well, word processing probably is a stronger skill. But one day I went to give him, it was something a doctor had written. I said, what does that say? And he couldn't read it because it was cursive. Then I realized, well, yeah, he might not need to learn to write it, but he does need to learn how to read it. So we have been incorporating that into our lessons. Another aspect I found with homeschooling that really surprised me is that as a homeschooler, I'm considered a teacher. I guess as a homeschooling mom, I'm mom first, but you might want to check in your state. But I realized that I get discounts at stores like Staples, Office Max, and Michaels and AC Moore because I'm considered a teacher. So I can actually get teaching supplies at a certain discount. Now this usually means I have to have some sort of paper that shows that I'm a homeschooler, whether that's like a letter from the Board of Education or some sort of identification through a charter school or something like that. But I remember getting that through the Borders bookstore. I used to get discounts all the time because I'm a teacher. So I guess that's all I really wanted to talk about today. If you have any questions or comments or even ideas for videos that you'd like to see, go ahead and post in comments. And as always, thanks for watching.